Hey, gun owners, if you live in the Waukesha down to Waterford area and anywhere in between in Wisconsin, you are likely in Senate District 28. And if you are a Second Amendment supporter, you need to hear this message about who your two candidates are who want to be your next senator in this district. I'm Ben Dorr. I'm the director for the Wisconsin Firearms Coalition. And I'm going to very quickly break down these two candidates for you so that when you go to the polls on November 5th, or if you do any early voting, you know who's who, what's what, and where these candidates stand on gun rights issues. All right, we're going to jump right in. First candidate we're going to talk about is Julian Bradley. He is your current senator for Senate District 28. The first thing I can tell you about him is that he filled out the Wisconsin Firearms Coalition candidate questionnaire 100% pro-gun. But more than that, Senator Bradley already has a 100% pro-gun voting record. This is great news for gun owners because, again, a lot of people can make promises. Some people fill out surveys, but then they don't want to follow through with the things they said they believed in, right? Julian Bradley is already doing this, which means he's a yes on the best pro-gun laws in Minnesota, in Wisconsin. That means I'm talking about stand your ground law, which Wisconsin does not have. 38 states have it, not Wisconsin. I'm talking about constitutional carry law. Wisconsin doesn't have that either. The Second Amendment Preservation Act. We need this legislation. We need it passed. Senator Bradley agrees. He's a yes on this legislation. Also, he's a no on the major gun control bills that are being brought forward in Madison by Tony Evers, Josh Kaul, and the rest of the radical left, right? So they want red flag gun confiscation, statewide gun registration. We'll talk more about that in a moment. But because of his response to the survey and because of his 100% voting record, Senator Bradley gets an A rating with the Wisconsin Firearms Coalition. So if you see him out on the campaign trail, tell him thank you for being public in his defense of the Second Amendment. All right, now we're going to move on to Megan Lach. She wants to be the next senator for Senate District 28. But the information we have on her is that, first of all, she refused to fill out her Wisconsin Firearms Coalition candidate questionnaire. We're not very surprised by that. Most candidates who intend to attack the Second Amendment at the Capitol don't really want to advertise that to a group of gun owners. So she didn't touch the survey. But we do know that she is endorsed by Michael Bloomberg's gun control organizations. In fact, that great big fat Bloomberg logo was the very first one listed in her endorsements on her website. So she is clearly proud to be endorsed by a billionaire gun grabber and his carpet bagging groups in Wisconsin. So that means she's a yes vote on red flag gun confiscation laws. This and statewide gun registration are the number 1 and 2 issues for the radical left in Wisconsin. If they can get those passed, they'll move on to AR-15 bans, everything else they can get their hands on. But we don't need red flag laws in Wisconsin. We already have laws on the books that allow people who are showing themselves to be a danger to themselves or others to be picked up, to undergo psych evaluations if necessary. And then if it turns out they are making threatening gestures, talking about self-harm, things like that, more action can be taken. We don't need red flag laws. Red flag laws are an unconstitutional gun grab, straight up, dreamed up by gun control organizations like Bloomberg's. So we don't need it. Megan Lach wants to pass it. She would not have been endorsed by Bloomberg's organizations if she hadn't promised to pass these laws. And again, she supports gun registration through universal background checks. They want to make it so that it's illegal for you to give a firearm to your wife or your spouse for self-defense. They want to make it illegal to sell a shotgun to your best friend of 25 years. They want to make it illegal to give a .22 rifle to your kid who is growing up and coming of age and you want to teach to shoot. They want to make it illegal unless you do a background check on your own spouse, unless you do a background check on your best friend, right? This is de facto gun registration. You know who's not registering their guns? Criminals. You know who's not going through the background checks system to buy a firearm? Criminals. They don't obey this. All of this crap that Megan Lach wants passed in the state of Wisconsin will inhibit the law-abiding and the proper gun owners and will make it so that criminals don't obey any of this stuff and have more guns than the lawful. This is preposterous. It's insane. But when you're bought and paid for by billionaire gun grabbers, they don't really care. And that's why Megan Lach would be an enemy of the Second Amendment if she makes it up to the Capitol. And that's why Megan has earned herself an F rating with the Wisconsin Firearms Coalition. She is a far left agitator who wants to totally strip away our Second Amendment freedoms. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Well, Julian Bradley understands that the way you get good public safety is by letting law-abiding citizens like you and me exercise our Second Amendment rights to protect our families. I've got a wife and 4 kids. I use firearms. I carry firearms to protect my family, to protect my neighbors and our communities. Gun control doesn't stop criminals. It stops the law abiding from exercising their Second Amendment rights. That's the information we have on your Senate District 28 race. All I ask now is that you take your friends, your family, your neighbors, everybody you know who cares about the Second Amendment, who cares about the future of Wisconsin, get out and vote pro-gun. Wisconsin is such an important state, both on the federal level as a swing state. Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina. Wisconsin is that important. But even more than that, right here in Senate District 28 and other districts across the state, there are a few. We all watched the redistricting get done. We watched as the radical left took over the Supreme Court here in Wisconsin and force the legislature, the General Assembly, to pass bad redistricting laws that highly favor the radical left. 2025 in our state, in Wisconsin, could look very different depending on what happens in November. It's so important that you get out with your friends and your family and your neighbors and you vote to preserve and save the Constitution, the Second Amendment, in Wisconsin.